So here we go with the first section of this long journey. So we will be traveling in the what we could say in the lane of Bloom's taxonomy, exploring what is really there in outcome-based education, what is happening in Canada, what is globally happening, how these what we could say the possibilities of AI. How can we integrate it into? So this will be something very interesting, and obviously you will be well informed to make your own outcome-based education in the college. So here we go with the Bloom's taxonomy. So obviously, the Bloom's taxonomy is all about learning. Obviously, we are as a teacher, our major task of as a teacher is to facilitate learning, and obviously, the role of the teacher in the contemporary scenario has been, I would say that, has risen to the level of a facilitator. We have to facilitate the students, where the students are given freedom to explore the things from the real life scenario. So whatever it may be, we are facilitating the process of learning. And also Bloom's taxonomy is something about learning. So that is why I've taken a slide on what is learning. This is one of the most simplest statement on learning. Learning is a process that needs change. You can just read what is there in the slide. Learning is a process that leads to change. So I will just take that word change. So learning is a process. Wherever there is a process, obviously there should be a product which should be associated with the process. Every processes will lead to some product. So what will be the product? In the sense, it will be the change that you are bringing out in the learner. That is the product that you are bringing through the process of learning. Wherever there is a learning, the change will be happening to the learner. And I'm just taking that particular change. Suppose you are going to a classroom for a 1 hour class. Obviously, when you are before starting the class, definitely the students will be having a certain initial level of behavior, and you will be interacting with the students with the different examples, different curricular content, with some theory, some practical, some so a lot of reflections. You will be bringing a lot of experiences into your teaching, learning experiences, and after the end of the class, definitely the students will not be there at the initial level. They will be elevated to a higher level. The behavior, there will be some change in the behavior pattern, in the way in which they think, they look, perceive some scenarios. There will be some change in the area which you have interacted. So the changed level, we can say that as terminal behavior. And this initial level of behavior and the terminal level of behavior after taking the class will not be at will not be at the same level. After taking the class, definitely you have brought about some change, some enhancement in their way of thinking, in the way of feeling, way of doing something. You have brought about change. So what is the change? The difference between the terminal behavior of the student and the initial behavior of the student, that is the change that you have brought about to the students through your 1 hour section. Okay, so that is the change. So this change is the outcome that you have brought about in the students. And when you are going with an outcome-based education, you will be identifying what will be the change prior to your class, fix it initially. You are taking that end thing, that is what will happen after your 1 hour of class. That change that you will be trying to bringing up to the students, you are taking the change and fixing it first. That the end point, you are fixing it first. So that statement, or what is the change that you're going to bring about in the students, is nothing but the intended learning outcome of the student. And all the activities that you're performing during your classroom should be aligned to the intended outcome. This is the soul of outcome-based education. You can give many explanations, a lot of activity strategies, POs, PSOs, mapping, all these things could happen. But the real soul is this. What you are brought about in the students in the 1 hour, that you are prefixing it first, and all that activities aligning to that particular change. Suppose if you are given a course, you are given a course to handle. That is, you are given a subject to teach for 6 months. You can perceive it in that particular line. Before your introductory class, the entire class students will be at an initial level of behavior. After completing the entire course of 6 months, definitely they will not be at the same level. They would have made the change. They would have made a change in the way in which they think, in the way in which they perceive the things which is related to your course. There will be a change in the way in which they perform things in the lines of the course. So this difference, the terminal behavior after the completion of the course and the initial behavior, this difference is nothing but the outcome of that particular course. And this outcome you are prefixing first. And that is what we call it as the course outcome. So course outcome is something you are fixing it in advance. What will happen after 6 months of your class? You are fixing it in advance, and during the 6 months of class, all the activities you are performing with respect to that your course, you are pointing it to the outcome that you have prefixed. At every stage, you are just assessing whether they are going in the right lines. That is formative evaluations. This is the soul of outcome education. If you're going for a class, intended learning outcome of a class. If you're going with what? A course, the course level outcome, that is what will happen to the students after completion of the course. You are prefixing it first and ensuring that the entire class students have attained certain level of these outcomes. That certain level is the target. So simple. So when the student come and take admission for a program, whatever it may be, so if it is BSc, okay, BSc program, or a graduate program, the same thing apply. Initial level, they have come out from +2 level, so they will be having some homogeneity in their initial level of behavior. And after completion of a BCA program, they will be leaving as a professional. So they're coming in as a +2 student and they're leaving as a professional. So to be a professional, what all competencies are essential for these students? They should have communication skill. They should have problem solving. They should have creative thinking. They should have mastery in the subject. So all these things are essential when they leave. So you are prefixing it first. That is the program level outcome. And during the 3-4 year of their course, you are ensuring that they are living these courses with these outcomes that you are prefixed. This is the essence. This is the soul of outcome-based education. So all these processes are revolving around what? Learning. You are creating a learning environment to the students such that by the end of the learning, the outcomes, the change or the outcomes that you are intended for the students are prefixed, and you're steering them to attain this. This is the soul. This is the soul of outcome-based education. You can give a lot of okay, what is mapping? All these things are something facilitators, but this is the essence. If you take this essence of outcome-based education in the real sense, if you're conceiving it, whatever you do it in that line will be outcome-based education. If you're getting this one, if you're conceiving it as a whole, okay, then whatever you do in that lines is outcome-based education. So, okay, coming back, because in the upcoming sections we'll be discussing more on that. Now I'm just taking you only through the Bloom's taxonomy. So here, the learning is a process that lead to change. In an outcome-based education, this change will be prefixed, and you are trying to what? Make the students attain that change. Okay, so learning is a process of bringing out some desirable behavioral change. Desirable means you are prefixing the change in advance, and your interaction, that change has to be attained. Now, coming to the Bloom's taxonomy, I am again taking this change. So this change can happen in 3 levels. One is the way in which they think. The way in which you think is something, an intellectual process. So the change can happen in your intellectual domain, isn't it? Or the change can happen in the way in which you feel, way in which you set your attitude. So the change can happen to your attitude, your values, all these areas. So one is intellectual, the other is emotional. You're setting value, you're setting attitude. The change can happen to that particular domain. And the third area of change is that the change to some physical activity that we perform. Suppose you are driving a car. Initial level, obviously, you will be thinking something more coordination will be happen. And after practice and enhancement of the skill, that will become what? That will become automatic. That will become automatic. That is something which has been regulated by your motor skills. So change can happen in the way in which you think. The change can happen in the way in which you feel. The change can happen in the way in which you do. These are the 3 areas of the change. So learning is a process that brings about change in these 3 areas. And what Benjamin Bloom has done is that Bloom's taxonomy is classification. What Benjamin Bloom has suggested is that how the change progress, how the change is happening in these 3 domains. The first one is intellectual, how the change is happening. The change, when we say that change is happening, means learning is happening. Change happening means learning is happening. How learning is happening in the intellectual domain, how learning is being facilitated in the what you could say the emotional domain, and how learning is happening in the physical space. So this is the gentleman smiling at you is none other than Benjamin Bloom. You can just state. And do you feel motivated? Is it encouraging? That first statement by Benjamin Bloom. What is that? I think you have read what any person in this world can learn. What any person in this world can learn. Almost all person can learn. And there is a if clause. What is that if clause? If provided with appropriate prior and current condition of learning. So in a process of learning, there is a prior and current condition. If you want to teach something current, there should be some prior prerequisite. So if the prior condition and the current condition is having a rapport, definitely learning will happen, provided there is some physically challenge in the learner. Isn't it? So some mental or physical challenge other than that. So this is what does Benjamin Bloom says, that everybody can learn. So there is no meaning in saying that okay, he is not a good learner. Everybody can learn. The thing is that you should have a sound prior learning condition in order to connect the present learning to them. So learning is happening in a continuum. So why you are mentioning it here is that you will be able to connect the prior learning with the current condition if we have a thorough knowledge of Bloom's taxonomy. Because learning is something that will move from simple to complex. That is the roadmap of learning. Learning will always progress from simple to complex. So at this roadmap between simple and complex is being classified into different levels of learning, and that is Bloom's taxonomy is all about levels of learning, and learning will progress in a continuum. So Bloom's taxonomy is a set of 3 hierarchical models. What is 3? In the previous slide, I've told that change can happen either in the what you could say three areas: you think, you feel, and you do. So this is the 3 levels of these are the 3 domains of learning. And here we could say that which is related to intellectual ability, we can call it as not we. Bloom has suggested it as cognitive domain. And feeling, emotions, and attitude, your value system, all these things is related to the affective domain. And physical and motor skill, those activities you perform through physical and motor skills would be connected with psychomotor domain. So the cognitive domain is something related to the knowledge. So while we are formulating a curriculum, we are giving priority to the cognitive domain knowledge, and the other affective domain as well as the psychomotor domain will be integrated into our educational system as hidden curriculum. Suppose if you want to teach honesty or some developing attitude, that will be integrated into the curriculum as a hidden curriculum. So we will be capitalizing our discussions on this what you could say cognitive domain. And obviously this is something very familiar, because when we go around sections to the college, I could see especially when at the time of the NAC visit, this Bloom's taxonomy, this cognitive domain will be showcased in every corridor, because that's very important and this is very familiar. So I told that learning is something which is happening from simple to complex or concrete to abstract. So this is the roadmap how we learn, and this roadmap has been classified into different levels on the basis of the cognitive challenge that these experiences bring into the learner. And obviously we know that these are the 6 levels where our cognitive domain progress. Learning happens in that is, we will begin some learning from remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So this is how learning happens in the cognitive domain. We will go through each levels one by one. When I say remember, I remember what actually it means. Remembering is a memory level of learning. Memory level, that is, you are taking something to the memory. When there is something in the memory, what is your automatic response? You try to recall it. So recall from memory, that is the first level of learning, because we are connected with the external world to the 5 senses, isn't it? You are hearing me. What is happening? The waves which I've created is been transmitted to you through the technological platforms. It gets decoded. It goes into your ear, making vibrations in your eardrum, and it is that signal has been taken to Malasinkus tapes to the auditory nerve, and it will reach the brain and get stored. Memory. First thing is happening is that it is getting stored. When I say that it is getting stored, is that it is getting recorded into the memory. And what is the next level? When it comes and getting stored, what is the next process which has been happening? The intellectual process will start operating. Whatever signals that has come and stored into the memory will be transformed into a higher level, understanding level. Isn't it? Some intellectual process will start activating all the memory, all the impulses that has come to the memory, and it will take all these impulses to the understanding level. You grasp the meaning of what has come to the memory. It is not only through the auditory, it can come through your optic. You see something, isn't it? The image that comes falls on the retina, goes through what you could say over this optic nerve and reaches the brain. So everything will come to the brain and get deposited, get recorded in the memory first, and then intellectual process will start operating, and you will try to understand the meaning through the intellectual process. So these two level normally is given more priority in the traditional system. You are teaching a theory or you are teaching a concept. What you are doing is that first the students will try to memorize it, and then to take it to the brain, enters into the brain, it directly goes into memory and get deposited. And then the thought process will be stimulated where they get the concept. So if you're teaching a student a theory, a principle, an axiom, or some procedures, the first process is that they will be taking it from memory to understanding level. And what is the next level? Next level is that all that you have capitalized, you understood the concept. The next is that we have to transfer that knowledge into some unfamiliar situations where you are able to solve the problems. So application is applying, means using that learned knowledge into some relevant situations whereby you are able to solve. So first, remembering, understanding, applying. And what is the next level? Analyzing means it is a higher order application. That is, you are dealing with what? A complex situations. So while you are dealing with a complex situation, what happens is that you will be breaking that complex situations into component parts, apply your learning, apply your knowledge into these component parts, and try to establish the relationship. So that is analyzing, isn't it? Suppose if I teach in computer programming, I just give the different syntaxes and computer logics, and you give you an unfamiliar situations. You apply this your logic, the programming logic and syntaxes, and you create a problem. That is, you applied your learning for creation of a problem. Suppose if I'm giving you a problem, a program has been given, and I told that there is some error that has happened. So what you have to do? There you have to segment those program into different components, and you have to apply your knowledge, your learning into these components, and check whether all these components are working in itself, and when connected, how it has been working. So that is how you are bug fixing. So that is an analytical level. That is multiple concepts are being integrated, weighed, and finding connections. That is analysis. And what is next level? You are going into evaluation. So for evaluation, what is that? You have to analyze the situation, and then only you are able to evaluate. For example, suppose you are asked to judge a dance form. So what's normally happening? For judging a dance form, the judge should have a thorough knowledge about this understanding about the dance form, and he should apply his observations and analyze each steps of the those persons who are competing it, isn't it? On the basis of some criteria. Okay, first criteria, it can be their facial expressions, the gracefulness, the sync of their movement with the music, or whatever it may be, like that. So every person is been evaluated, it's been analyzed on the basis of some criteria, and finally you are judging which is the best dance. So for that, what is it? After analyzing, on the basis of analyzing, only you are evaluating. Why going? You are going for some NIRF rank. So NIRF has given some 7 criteria or something like that. No, five criteria: teaching, learning, research, perception, outreach, like that. 5 criteria. 5 criteria are there. So we are submitting our SSR to the for analysis, isn't it? Human Resource Ministry for the analysis of a 1-year performance. So every college with respect to the different category is being analyzed on the basis of these criteria. So analysis has been happening, how teaching and learning progress, how they are progressing in their research, what is their perception among the stakeholders. So all these criteria is being evaluated. They will quantify them or with respect to some scores, and they find the average, and then rank them on the basis of the score that they have secured, and they will say that, okay, this is the best college, this is the Ramakrishna College or Miranda College, like that they will be, or for engineering category, IIT Madras, they'll be ranking it. Ranking means evaluating. Before evaluating, what had happened? Analyzing. They have analyzed the performance of the colleges on the basis of the different categories, and they have. And what is the highest level? Creating. So creating is some higher order, the topmost order. That is, suppose you are going for a research. I would say that the most important stage in research is review of literature, isn't it? You are performing a review of literature means you are analyzing what had happened in the area that you are conducting research, and then you evaluate what is the present status, whether there is gaps in the area that you are conducting research, what is the shortcomings at the present status, and that evaluation will lead you to some productive contribution to the field of your study as for a doctorate or something like that, research contributions. So creating is bringing something new. If you want to bring something new, a thorough evaluation should be done. What is the current status of the area? And only on the basis of that, you will sense the necessity. And necessity is the mother of invention. It will lead you to what to create and how to progress. So this is how the knowledge is being developed. So first, you will try to memorize it. Memorizing is reaching the brain and getting stored. Immediately, this process will happen. You will try to understand and then apply. So in our traditional Gurukula system, what is that? The Guru will recite these traditional in Sanskrit different verses, and the first what Shishya do is that they will first hear Sravana, and after Sravana they will try to meditate Manana, Sravana Manana, and then they will understand through Manana, they will understand the principles, and Nirityasana, they will take it to the application level. So actually that was there in our ancient Indian culture, our IKs, that is Sravana Manana Nirityasana, where they gets the idea. First they try to memorize it, then they try to think about that Manana, and then they will get the idea and they put it into this application level. So the Bloom has further categorized it into 6 levels to creating new piece of knowledge. So this is how the learning will happen. So learning is a process engineered in such a way that one is a prerequisite of other, and learning progress in a country. That is, suppose if you want to apply something, you should have an understanding of the concepts and theories, then only you can apply it. If you want to analyze a complex situation, you have to segment that complex situation into component parts, then apply the learning to the different components and try to establish the relationship. If you want to evaluate something, you have to make a thorough analysis. A thorough analysis will make you to make some unbiased evaluation. And if you want to create something, you have to judge what is the latest status quo, what is the gaps which is there in the current stuff of knowledge, and how to fix the gap. That will lead to creation. So this is how the knowledge will progress, and this is how the roadmap from simple to complex progress. And up to this level, we can call it as lower order thinking skills. So remembering, understanding, and immediate application. Knowledge, remembering, understanding, and immediate application is only a lower order thinking skills. And going beyond, that is application in a real-time scenario, in a complex scenario, evaluation and creation, these are higher order thinking skills. And obviously, we have to capitalize to take the students, not to teach some basic principles, theories, and ask the same thing and give them marks. That will kill really their productivity. So we have to take them to the higher order. And obviously, the outcome-based education focuses to take the students to the higher order. And I was been mentioning about, not I, Bloom has been mentioning about prior and current conditions. Suppose if you want to teach the student to apply something, you have to ensure that they have a thorough concept. Prior thing is concept. Suppose if you want to evaluate something, obviously the prior thing is analyzing. The student should have that much of potentials for analyzing, then only you can ask them to evaluate. So one is a prerequisite for the other. So what your learning experience is going to happen, in which level it is going to happen, and you have to ensure the prior level is already met. Then definitely we can say that anybody can. And now this is something taking you a little more closer. So this is what I've just given you the framework of what you could say cognitive domain. Now I'm going to take you deeper into these level one by one, and I want to apply it into your area of teaching. So what is happening in remembering level? I've already told you, just to keep something in memory. So when you keep it in memory, what happens? You will try to recall. So these upcoming slides, I have trisected into three. These are some of the what I call cognitive actions which is happening in the learner at this level. These are some of the action verbs that will help you to frame questions. And when you come to outcomes, these verbs will help you to frame what? Outcomes also. And these are some sample questions at this level. So this is the three sections. So actually, I was talking about Bloom's taxonomy, right? Talking about Bloom's taxonomy. Suppose if I ask a question, list the various domains of Bloom's taxonomy. Obviously, every participants will be able to answer this question. What? List means just list the name. So I told that there are three domains. One is related to the intellectual, that is cognitive. The other is related to our, what you could say, our attitude, values, emotions, etc. That is affective. And the third one is psychomotor. Just writing the technical name will give you full credit. Isn't it? Just memorizing this technical name will give the student the full credit. So even if you are a PhD in Bloom's taxonomy, this question only demands your ability to memorize that particular name. Isn't it? There is no need for a PhD level expertise to answer this question. This is a memory level of question. Memory level. Okay, define multiculturalism. So I've taken the verb list. List verb is here. Okay, list. Suppose if I ask, define multiculturalism. Define. So when I said define, I am restricting the freedom of the student. He have to write some definitions which is given by some sociologists as such. Yes, I was there when I go for a paper valuation as a chief examiner. I've seen the teachers reducing different words in the definitions. And once I've seen that this guy has not, this is a definition, he has not used inverted comma, so reducing mark. So this is, you are restricting the students' learning. You want the students to memorize the statement as such and write. And if you are using some alternate words or synonyms in the definitions, restricting the mark. Okay, this person has not said like that. So you are testing them for memory. Okay, either list the key components. Or suppose if I say abbreviate GST, goods and service tax. Okay, suppose if I say abbreviation, if they say goods and service tax, they will get the full credit. isn't it? So even if you are a very expert in this tax, if you're a tax consultant, is this question, both the tax consultant or a boy who are just memorized this good service tax, they will get the same credit, isn't it? He would have a expert in GST, a lot of contributions in GST, but still. So this is memory. Memory level is just only testing the memory. That do not mean that they can be at a higher level, but this question is only a memory level question. Then going to the understanding level. Going to the understanding level. Here, understanding means they got the meaning. Suppose if you are teaching them some principle, or you are teaching them some a concept. Concept means there is some abstractions, isn't it? Fact, concept. In a concept, there is some abstraction which has been there. So when the students learn that concept, they remove that abstraction and they got the meaning of the particular concept. That is concept learning. So if you want to check whether they have learned the concept, you can frame questions by using these verbs. Suppose describe, explain means they have to explain it. If they want to explain it, they should have a real understanding of what they explain. That is understanding level. So suppose the same question. Explain the various levels of learning in cognitive domain. Okay, you will be answering. But suppose if I ask them, explain the various levels of learning in affective domain. We didn't discuss about affective domain, isn't it? But in the previous question, you answered. You told that, okay, 3 domains, list the 3 domains means cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Here, if I say cognitive domain, you will be answering, okay, it is the students' progress in an intellectual the knowledge, how they acquire the knowledge. First is memory, understanding level. You will explain. Suppose if I ask affective domain, I didn't say that. The affective domain, the learner progresses like receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, characterizing. I didn't explain it because I told that it will be added into the curriculum as hidden curriculum. Suppose if I say psychomotor, I didn't say that the students progresses by imitating, manipulating, then perception, articulation, and then naturalizing. So, this learning progress like in a psychomotor domain. Okay, first they imitate, then they try to manipulate their own manipulations, then they make the things precisions, bring some precisions, then articulations and naturalizations, just like that. I didn't explain. But still, isn't it? You are able to write cognitive domain, but you are not able to because you didn't understand. So, for an understanding level, they should be able to explain from their own understanding. The previous question I asked, define. So, you have to write the definition of some of the sociologists. Now, I am asking, restate multiculturalism in your own words. So, you are able to restate it when you have got a thorough understanding about that particular thing. Then you can restate. Okay, multiculturalism is just like a what you could say fruit salad. What is a fruit salad? Different fruits are there in your bowl with its own identity bound with the cream, isn't it? So in a multiculturalism, all the cultures coexist in the cream. Suppose if it is the culture of India, in the cream of nationalism, like that, isn't it? Suppose if it is a monoculturalism, all these fruits will be blended together to form a mixed fruit juice, homogeneous compound, isn't it? So in a multiculturalism, that means all the cultures coexist, isn't it? If they say it like that, okay, they understood the concept. Before I just asked to abbreviate GST. Now I am asking the students to summarize the process of computing GST. So they have to summarize, isn't it? Okay, what is the tax rate, like that, whether it is service or product, the rates as such, then says like to the progress they're explaining it. That means they have understood, not an abbreviation. So next level is applying. So applying means you are transferring your understanding, your knowledge to some unrelevant, to some relevant, not sorry, to some relevant situations whereby not unfamiliar, not unrelevant, unfamiliar. whereby you are solving the problem. Okay, so that is applying. Applying means, suppose I've just told that we have been teaching the students about some computer program. So programming language, you are teaching about the programming logic, then about the syntaxes. Suppose if it's a Python program, you are asked them to write a program for a particular situation. So just transferring their learning, their programming logic and the syntaxes and the developer program. Direct application. Direct application. So there you can use this. These are some of the verbs that can help you to frame questions. For example, Bloom's taxonomy. First, I asked you to list. Then I asked you to explain. Now what? I am asking you to transfer the knowledge of Bloom's taxonomy to that you're handling and frame few questions. So what is happening there? You are transferring the knowledge of Bloom's taxonomy for preparing questions in the subject that you're handling. Suppose I am asking you, okay, frame to remembering level question from your subject. That means remembering level question means you're transferring the Bloom's taxonomy cognitive domain knowledge of remembering to your subject and preparing question. Okay, you are writing define Ohm's law in physics. Okay, define Ohm's law. That means they have to write the definition as such. That is a remembering level question. So this is what is happening in applying. So applying means transferring the knowledge to the relevant situations. Okay, next one. Demonstrate and calculate GST for a specific example. So before I ask them to summarize how to calculate GST. Now I am asking them to what? Calculate GST if I have given them a scenario. Okay, company want to calculate the GST. What is the GST tax they have to submit? So you're giving them a use case. So they are applying their knowledge in calculating the entire procedure, and they're calculating, and okay, this is the tax that comes in this way. They're really calculating, applying that knowledge and calculating. So that is applying. And analyzing, I told you that analyzing means breaking into different components and then apply your knowledge and try to find out. So breaking a complex problem, because the real world problem will not be direct application of a knowledge. You have to apply different knowledge together. That is why we say that project method. Project means you are dealing with some, what we could say, some wholehearted purposeful activity. So that will be a combination of different knowledge, just like that. So if you want to do breaking it into different components, and then you have to apply your knowledge into this component and try to make some connections between them. So that is what really analyzing. So if you want to make analyzing, okay, these are some verbs that may help you for this using this preparing questions for analyzing level. So here I would say what question? Our first question was list, then explain. Then I asked you to prepare questions. Isn't it? Apply Bloom's taxonomy, prepare questions. Now I am not asking you to prepare questions. I am giving you questions. I am giving you questions, and I am asking you to identify, analyze these questions and identify which level of Bloom's taxonomy this question could be connected. So what you will do? You will take one question, and then you will structure what cognitive challenge that question brings in the learner, whether it is connected with the memory level, or it is connected with understanding level, whether it is connected with application level. Like that, you are analyzing to which level it suits, and finally you say that okay, this is an application level question, or this is an analytical level question for answer. So that is analyzing. That is, suppose if you're in chemistry, obviously we will be familiar with salt analysis. What really it happens in salt analysis? You're giving them a salt. So what the students do, they take a small part of that and do some test like that, isn't it? A test for nitrate or sulfate or something like that. Different tests, they will be analyzing it. isn't it? If they want to apply nitrate test, they have to apply that knowledge. If they want to apply sulfate, they have to apply that knowledge. The different type of test they do, and they will identify finally on the basis of this observation, they will say that this is this test. That is analysis. So breaking a problem into different components and applying your knowledge and saying, isn't it? Suppose if you want to compare the approaches of multiculturalism in these two countries. Suppose if I am just giving two countries and asking you to compare the multiculturalist practices, what you have to do? There you have to break them. What is the form of the government in the first country? What is the form of the government in the second country? What is the economic status? Second country. What is the freedom they apply in the first and the second country? Like that, you are breaking the entire social system of the two countries into different components, and then you compare. So what is really happening? You are comparing on the basis, okay, what is the, so you should have, what is the form of the government in the first? Apply the knowledge. Then what is the form of the government? Whether it is a democratic or socialistic pattern, or whether it is a federal government, you are applying the knowledge there. Then what is the status of the people? What is the status of the welfare? What is the industry which has been flourishing? Like that, you are comparing. So that means you are analyzing the two countries, isn't it? Their social system as such, you are analyzing, breaking it into, isn't it? Okay, now if suppose if I ask to compare GST and VAT, there what you are doing is that you are analyzing, okay, GST and VAT and how they are calculating it. You two systems you're comparing. So you're breaking it into different components and then you are analyzing. So analysis always involve a breaking of a complex situations and applying the knowledge and trying to find out your observations. Suppose if you are doing PhD, you will be setting objectives. Okay, each objective you will be analyzing it on the basis of different parameters, isn't it? You have different with respect to rural, with respect to gender, like that, with respect to different parameters, you will be analyzing the same objective into different tables, and then you will summarizing it to give the final result. So analyzing means you are drilling detail into each component, and then you are applying the knowledge and trying to find out the connections. And evaluating and analyzing, they are very close together. Through a thorough analysis, you can evaluate. So evaluate means you are comparing and finally judging the value. So these are the action verbs. These will be available in the elements. Okay, don't worry. Suppose in our Bloom's taxonomy, firstly, I asked you to list, then explain, then frame questions. I've given questions and asked them to analyze these questions and identify which level. And now I am asking you, do you think you could prepare questions of all levels of Bloom's taxonomy in your subject? It is not yes or no. It is not yes or no, but justify. If you want to answer this question, what is your prerequisite? You should know what is Bloom's taxonomy. You should have a thorough knowledge. You should have applied it, Bloom's taxonomy, for framing questions. And then you have applied it in many scenarios. You analyzed whether it is applicable in different scenarios. Then only you will be able to give your justification. That is evaluating whether Bloom's taxonomy. Or sometimes you will be saying, okay, sir, your Bloom's and taxonomy, everything is good, but it is not quite comfortable for my subject. Then I will ask why. So you will be justifying it. If you want to have that much of expertise, you should have knowledge about Bloom's taxonomy, your subject. You should apply it, and then different use cases, and then only you will be able to say the final evaluation. So evaluation becomes superior to analysis. Only after analysis you can evaluate. Suppose if I want to evaluate the impact of multiculturalism in your country's impact. If you want to say the impact, then you should know what is multiculturalism, how it has been applied. You should analyze the different scenarios. Then only you can come up with what an impact study, evaluating the impact, isn't it? So impact means going further. further. You have analyzed, and then what impact it has brought to the citizens, to the administrators, stakeholders. So that is what evaluate. Suppose if I ask, okay, what are the merits and demerits of GST and VAT? For that, you should know what is GST. You should apply GST. What are the problems that GST is confronting? What are the problems with what has been confronting? Then only you will be able to answer. So this is a very higher level. We have started with abbreviated GST, and this is, you have to apply it, how calculating different use cases, where it is positive, where it is negative. That knowledge you have to gain. But the thing is that this evaluation, it becomes genuine only when the learner do it by yourself, by themselves. Suppose if you are giving them a ready-made answer of evaluation and ask them to evaluate, it is not evaluation. They are only trying to memorize it or even try to understand and reproduce it. This becomes genuine only when the students evaluate by their own cognitive effort. So, higher order questions, you should not give the students answer, ready-made answer. If you are giving them ready-made answer, it will be just like, suppose if I ask the, suppose if I am asking my student, okay, tomorrow you will be having a surprise test. Tomorrow you will be having a surprise test. Suppose if I say like that, they will think that, oh, this man has gone out of his sense. Tomorrow, what is the surprise in that? Tomorrow there will be a test. What is the surprise in that? It will be just like that. You are giving an evaluation questions and you are giving them notes in advance. Then what is the evaluation that the students are doing? No. So that is a fallacy that is often happening in our educational system. So higher order thinking skills should be brought about through their own cognitive challenge. Not ready-made answers should not be given. Okay. And creating means, okay, you are going beyond your evaluation to some new contributions to the knowledge system. This is what for analyzing. Okay, I have just given them, given your scenario. Analyzing, you are breaking them into different components and then applying your knowledge and trying to find out. For creating, there is a synthesis which is happening. Your knowledge is being combined together to create some new things. So a synthesis is been happening. The synthesis of your experience knowledge will be combined together to form some new thing in creating. So use old ideas to create new one, not copy paste the ideas. Combining your different parts to find a new whole, a new solution for the problem that is confronted. So now I was asking that, okay, whether the Bloom's taxonomy, and you analyzed and said that, no, sir, your Bloom's taxonomy is good, but it is not answering my question. So what next? We have to go ahead and find out some other classification which is compatible for our purpose. That is how creation, that is how necessity is felt in the previous slide. It is not answering. So what next? You have to go beyond and create something new, create a new model of classification of learning. Okay, before we have asked them to evaluate the merits and demerits of GST and VAT. Okay, you have identified, and they are identified, okay, this is the merits and this is the demerits. Now I can ask them, develop a new tax model incorporating the strength of both GST and VAT. Suppose if I say that like that, that is how research happens. You have to combine, you have to fix the gaps or combine the positives and create something new. That is how some cognitive level creations that is should happen. Or suppose if it is a computer program, directly preparing a program is application. Suppose if you want to design an ERP, that is creating. That is different use cases has been integrated together. Their requirements are putting together, and you're creating a design. So that is a higher level project. So normally in examinations, we can give questions up to, okay, some analytical level questions. You cannot give a create level question. I've seen many of the, obviously in some scenarios, like art subject, okay, some thing could be given, some literature based or some could be given. But really, the create level questions are intended for the students, like projects are there. In a 2 hour examinations, you should not, you cannot ask the student to create a new taxation model or a new model. uh, that is, it's absurdity. So it should have, and how can you give a what you could say, a scheme of valuation? Because create should come from its own idea. So how can you fix a this scheme of valuation for? So up to some understanding, up to some analytical and even evaluation can happen in a paper pencil test. And obviously, we should. That is the importance of projects. The students, when I go for project evaluation, my first question is, what is your innovation to this project? So they have to contribute something new, some create something new. That is something important. So obviously, when we think about examination reforms, definitely it is this says that we have to take the students to higher order thinking skills. So obviously, in the new educational policies 2020, autonomy is the watchword. Even the students are given autonomy for multiple entry exit. Teachers are given autonomy. The institutions are coming to an autonomous status. So they have got academic freedom to decide. So what should be? So they can have policies that that is not taking 100% questions to the higher order. No, there should be sufficient questions from lower order and higher order. And mostly when we see that about 90% questions are coming from understanding and memory level, that is not fair. You should have, depending upon the nature of paper, depending upon the nature of paper, wherever possibility, you have to take the students to the higher order. That is something important. And I would say that suppose if you want to improve the quality of an institution, it is not the infrastructure that value. Uh, that is, you have to design an assessment track or system that takes the students for higher order thinking, and that will really enhance the quality of an education. Now the quality is not decided on how many acres of land, how many buildings, and whether it is centralized AC or nothing like that. Okay, that all are support systems. But we are deciding the quality of the systems on the basis of the students that pass out of the education system. How they are placed in the society. Are they confused graduates? How many illuminaries your institutions are brought about? So that is the brand of your institutions, not the look and feel. Now the things, because we are deciding everything on the basis of out. That is why we are giving a lot of statistics about our students, pass outs, alumni, in order to identify what strength that you have given to the students uh, through your institutions. So the things are changing in this way, and we have got. Okay, there is just getting time. There is one question. Can you identify which is the level of this question? K1, K2, K3, K4, K5, K6, which is the level? You can put it in chat, but chat is not visible for me. You can put it in chat. The students learns from notes. What they learn? The answer to the question. Analyze the motives of the speech of Mark Antony. Okay, this is a very famous thing. I came to bury Caesar, not to praise you. What is the analyze the motives? The question, motives of the speech of Mark Antony in Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar, isn't it? The student learns from where? Notes. The teacher have analyzed and give them notes and ask them to answer this question. So, what is the level? What is the level in the sense? What is the cognitive challenge? The question is K4, but the teacher has killed that K4 and has brought it down. They have learned the answer what the teacher has given, isn't it? So their cognitive challenge is either K1 or K2. It is K2 because they have learned it and answered it in some way, isn't it? So question is analysis K4, but the teacher has killed that question. He didn't give any cognitive challenge to the student. The teacher has given. Find the volume of the cube when one of the sides is known. Why? This is a simple. Volume means side into side into side. All the sides are there because it's a common. So I just given a. What is that level? Volume, to calculate volume. Put it in chat. I am just looking at chat. Okay, most are telling apply, but apply means when we say some calculations involved, apply. Actually, this is not apply. Volume formula is side into side into side. Suppose if I say that the cube is 10 unit, the 10 into 10 into 10. So application is, this is just substituting it. Giving a formula and substituting is just okay, understanding level or even memory level. It is not beyond that. Suppose if I want to put it as an this question, I have to just give them a scenario that okay, water is flowing into a tank, a cubical tank, which is of this 2 meter cubic height, length, breadth all same. Water is flowing it at this much rate. So what is the time to fill the tank? So there you have to apply that volume of the tank in that scenario, isn't it? So something like that. So this is only K2. The students are asked to conduct an experiment. Okay, salt analysis or something like that, and find the result. What is this? Analysis. Students are asked to conduct an experiment, examine the result of the experiment, and record its conclusions. So okay, so you have to conduct that experiment, and then you have to. So this is a K4 level. Debate and pros and cons of net banking. I will just speed up because now it's already 8, 9. Okay. Pros and cons, merits, demerits. Okay, pros and cons. Yes, it is evaluating, isn't it? That means it is evaluating K5. Match invention and inventors. Book and authors. You are given 2 set of invention, inventors. I was setting up book and authors. What is this? It is only K1. Suppose if I say, who is the author of Macbeth? A GK question. Even without reading what is Macbeth, you can say that, okay, it is a Shakespearean play, isn't it? So just like that, who is the inventor of such and such thing? Even without knowing what is the nature of inventions and about the inventions, a GK question. So this is only K1. And okay, this create a new model, that is K6. So now we have got a small, what you could say, a task related to this section. There is this analysis. Analysis means you can take any previous year question paper that you are handling. Any question paper. You can write what is the program name. Okay. BSc Mathematics or BA English or something like that. The name of the paper, year and semester, some details. And then this is the only part that you need to answer. Okay, here drop down is there. Suppose the first question is from section A. Read that question. Now you are an expert. Isn't it? Suppose the question is define something. You know that it is remembering level. So drop down, remember. What is a mark? You have to enter the mark. Isn't it? Second question like that, you can you can enter it like this. Suppose second question is again from section A. So section A, drop down section A, then read that question. That will be explain something. When you say explain means it's an understanding level. So what is the level? Okay. So suppose seventh question, it is again B. Again B. Then what is the level? Suppose if it is an application question, apply, and what is the marks? This is what you have to do. So you can take any question paper, and then you can enter the sections, then read the questions, apply the level, and then the marks. and the result, this is an automated sheet which is prepared by me. So you will be getting a consolidated format here. What percentage of question is from understanding, what percentage of question is from here, what percentage of HOTS, and you can write your evaluation here. So it is going beyond analyzing and evaluation. So whether it is having sufficient higher order questions, whether this question paper is a good question paper, you can evaluate. So the detailed way of answering will be given in the your LMS, so you can refer that and answer this, which I have explained it. And thank you for the section.